Welcome to our Rotary Club of Chilliwack's annual Christmas program. To gather together again, albeit virtually, to remember and to celebrate our spirit of Christmas is wonderful. This time together today of laughter and joy and reflection is a gift of light for us all. We appreciate and welcome all our guests joining us today. Let's all invite our Christmas spirit in and enjoy the Rotary Christmas program for 2020.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Gather once more. Through the years we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest of and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
Very first, and hopefully only, streamed Rotary Christmas party presented to you from the cozy confines of Cowork Chilliwack studio here in Midtown Chilliwack. I trust, like me, you will treat yourself to some seasonal libations and maybe some snacks as you watch the show. And by the way, I am wearing trousers. I'd like to start by asking you to join me in raising your glasses in a toast. A toast to that jolly round man who every year, through thick or thin, through snowstorm, through mask and social distance, through plague and lockdown, never fails to bring to each and every one of us a wonderful present. A present that always makes us feel good. A present that raises our spirits in the dark days of winter, and a present that makes us generous and open-hearted to our fellow humans at this special time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please join me in toasting the big man himself, John Blesson. To John. Impresario John, with the help of some very capable elves, chief among them past President Michael Berger and Tim McAlpine, has put together another talent-filled Christmas program that should get your somewhat restricted celebrations off to a happy start. You will be pleased to know our program today will be shorter than our normal 2.5-hour bladder challenging marathon. No need to reach for the Depends this year. We bring you our show even though there will be no nativity this year because the three wise men face a travel ban. The three shepherds have been furloughed. The innkeeper has shut under lockdown regulations and a slump in bookings. Even Santa won't be working as he would break the rule of 6 with Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Donner, and Blitzen. As for Rudolph with that red nose, he should be isolating and taking a test. And now we know the real reason Mary and Joseph had to travel to Bethlehem. They couldn't get home delivery. Some of you may have seen on the news that the second person to receive the COVID vaccine in the United Kingdom was an 81-year-old gentleman named William Shakespeare. Sounds improbable, but it is apparently true. Some of you may also know I am fond of the works of William Shakespeare, the world-famous playwright, and I am a known collector of his artifacts. In fact, I have in my possession a pencil that used to be owned by him. Trouble is, he chewed it a lot, so I can't tell whether it's to be or not to be. Oh, I can hear you chuckling out there. Thank you. Some of you may be wondering why this pandemic is so much like your stomach after Christmas. It takes ages to flatten that curve. Not sure if any of you have checked the Health Canada website lately. There is a new aid package. Those who wear glasses and masks may be eligible for condensation. Where's the rim shot when I need it most? I recently saw a warning sign posted on a downtown bar. Bars need your help. We can only open to 1/3 of our capacity. So, if you can't drink for 3, you are kindly asked to leave your place for the professionals. Speaking of bars and honky-tonks, when Wayne McAlpine was club secretary, he would regularly update us on the title of the latest country and western achy, breaky, tear-jerking lost love song. Now with the rise of self-driving vehicles, Wayne is eventually going to find there will be a country song about how his truck left him too. Oh, one day the Chevy just started up and drove away. Dave McCauley, my predecessor as MC of the Christmas program, was a first-class educator and excellent storyteller. He would often tell the club stories about kids who say the darndest things. In honor of our dear departed Dave and his wonderful sense of fun, here is some logic from Uncluttered Minds. A little girl was talking to her teacher about whales. The teacher said it was physically impossible for a whale to swallow a human because even though it was a very large mammal, its throat was very small. The girl stated that Jonah was swallowed by a whale. Irritated, the teacher reiterated that a whale could not swallow a human. It was physically impossible. The little girl said, "When I get to heaven, I will ask Jonah." The teacher asked, "What if Jonah went to hell?" The little girl replied, "Then you ask him." Here's one for President Shelley. The children were lined up in the cafeteria at St. Mary's Catholic Elementary School for lunch. At the head of the table was a large pile of apples. The nun made a note and posted on the apple tray, "Take only one. God is watching." Moving further along the line, at the other end of the table was a large pile of chocolate chip cookies. A child had written a note, "Take all you want. God is watching the apples." I'm kind of used to some laughter there, but let's get on with our show. Paula DeWitt is a musical all-rounder, conductor, trumpet player, teacher, arranger, and club secretary. I think we all appreciate the Leroy Anderson typist intro to her weekly reports, the birthday song video, and the music she contributes to the Friday Zoom meetings. In this retro replay, here she is as a solo vocalist with her version of a song that kind of sums up Christmas for most of us. Ladies and gentlemen, Paula DeWitt.
Sorry about that, John. Somebody snitched on me. I hid a frog in sister's bed. Somebody snitched on me. I spilled some ink on mommy's rug. I made Tommy eat a bug. I bought some gum with a penny slug. Somebody snitched on me. It was you? School together, him and I. And one time our teacher said, "You guys are being bad." I'm saying, "No way, it wasn't me. I'm not being bad." It was Johnny. And the teacher says, "I want whoever was being bad to stand up. Stand up right now." Johnny stood up. I couldn't believe it. The teacher says to him, "You're admitting you're bad?" He says, "No, I just didn't want you to be standing by yourself." I put a tack on teacher's chair. Somebody snitched on me. I tied a knot in Paula's hair. Somebody snitched on me. I did a dance on mommy's plants. Climbed a tree and ripped my pants. Filled a sugar bowl with ants. Somebody snitched on me. Santa Claus, somebody snitched on me. He won't be visiting me because somebody snitched on me. Next year I'll be going straight. Next year I'll be good, just wait. I'd start now, but it's too late. Somebody snitched on me.
Thank you, Paula, for that fun song. Veronica Liver and Shauna Maurice both hail from The Rock, Canada's easternmost province, the land of colorful houses and colorful characters, and traditions that are a bit different from the rest of the country. They have their own distinct time zone and a brand of music and humor that has brought them fame the world over. Who doesn't love Johnny Harris on Still Standing? Shauna and Veronica now join our show to tell us about their Christmas in Newfoundland.
Welcome to Newfoundland Christmas Traditions. December 23rd in Newfoundland is a time of fun and frolic.
The tradition of Tibbs Eve originates on the south coast of Newfoundland after World War II. At the time, small outport communities were very religious and observed the Advent period as strictly and soberly as they did Lent. No libations, shall we say. Tibbs Eve, in some places, appropriately also called Tipsy Eve, was a loosening of this restraint. So it became a tradition for people to go to each other's houses the night before Christmas, where they could sample all the goodies planned for Christmas.
Now it's known as a night out with friends before you begin the 3 days with your family, December 24th, 25th, and 26th. Lighthearted and humorous, it's a way to extend the season and tip a glass with your neighbors. So if you have a glass of wine on the 23rd, know that you're taking part in a time-honored Newfoundland tradition.
Mummering in Newfoundland is also a long-time tradition.
Thought to originate in Rome, the practice of mummering spread through England during the Middle Ages. But it was not until the 19th century that it was introduced to Newfoundland by English and Irish sailors.
The earliest record of mummering in Canada is in 1819. It now takes place each year around Christmas. It's also not unusual to find a mummers parade in July.
Traditionally, mummering would take on different forms, parades or walks, a play, usually involving a fight between a hero and a villain, and more informal house visits.
Also known in Newfoundland as jennying or jannying, the folk tradition involves people dressed up in flamboyant clothes, masking their faces and distorting their voices in order to conceal their identities.
House visits now are the most common form of mummering. A group of mummers will call on friends and neighbors where they get up to hijinks, play music, dance, and act a fool. It is the host's job to guess the identity of each masked mummer. Once they have been correctly identified, they can remove their masks.
The hosts of these mummers parties usually serve up refreshments, Christmas cake and a glass of syrup or blueberry wine.
Although the tradition is now associated with fun and tomfoolery, this hasn't always been the case. Mummers often carried large sticks and other weapons, and between 1830s and 1860s, there were a number of reports of violence.
But it was not until 1861, when a group of mummers killed a man as he walked home, that it was banned. Although many people are thought to have carried on the tradition at home, for many years it largely died out in public.
During the late 1970s, interest in mummering rekindled in Newfoundland, and the popular Mummers Song, which helped catalyst a revival of the tradition. The Mummers Song lyrics include some warnings to over-exuberant mummers. "I'll be careful of the lamp, now hold onto the stove. Don't swing Granny too hard, 'cause you know that she's old."
The St. John's Mummers Festival, with its Mummers Parade, is an example of the tradition's resurgence among a younger crowd. The festival started in 2009 and has taken place every year since, just a few weeks before Christmas.
Now let's watch a video on the tradition of the ugly stick.
Well, this funny looking thing here is called, well, we call it the ugly stick.
First time I saw an ugly stick, I went to a house party one night, and one of my buddies was playing the squeeze box, and a guy by the name of Sir Labbit brought out this stick and started beating on it, and he was good at it. And I said, "What's that thing you got there?" And I tell you, most people figure it's something for scaring the bears away when they're walking. You can tap it on the ground and it keeps the bears away. I get that all the time, right?
That's good. That's
oh,
good
yeah, yeah.
For keeping the bears away.
Well, I say, well, we work for that too, so... The ugly stick is still evolving, I guess, and the jury is out. It could be getting uglier and it could be getting prettier. It depends. We'll see in 50 years where it goes.
Yeah.
So it could be the pretty stick in 50 years' time. We don't know.
Wait and see. Yes,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. The pretty ugly stick.
It's the pretty ugly stick.
And now we have another video on the tradition of the mummers.
Hark, what's the noise out by the porch door? Dear Granny, there's mummers, there's 20 or more. Her old weathered face lightens up with a grin. Any mummers, nice mummers, loud in. Ah, come in, lovely mummers, don't bother the snow. We'll wipe up the water, sure, after you go. And sit, if you can, upon some mummer's knee. We'll see if we knows who you be. Ah, there's big ones and small ones, tall ones and thin. There's boys dressed as women and girls dressed as men, with humps on their backs and mitts on their feet. My blessed will die with the heat. Well, there's only one there, and I think that I know.
And when it's all said and done, this is how you look after Christmas in Newfoundland. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Veronica and Shauna, for telling us about your traditions at home. Rotarian Ralph Jones and the famous poet Dylan Thomas were both born and bred in Wales. It seems fitting that Ralph should share with us today a selection from the Welsh bard's immortal poem, A Child's Christmas in Wales. Ralph.
All the Christmases roll down towards the two-tongued sea, like a cold and headlong moon bundling down the sky that was our street. And they stop at the rim of the ice-edged, fish-freezing waves. And I plunge my hands in the snow and bring out whatever I can find. In goes my hand into that wool-white, bell-tongued ball of holidays, resting at the rim of the carol-singing sea. And out comes Mrs. Prothero and the fireman. Mrs. Prothero and the fireman. It was on the afternoon of the day of Christmas Eve, and I was in Mrs. Prothero's garden, waiting for cats with her son Jim. It was snowing. It was always snowing at Christmas. December in my memory is white as Lapland, although there were no reindeers, but there were cats. Patient, cold and callous, our hands wrapped in socks, we waited to snowball the cats. Sleek and long as jaguars and horrible whiskered, spitting and snarling, they would slide and sidle over the white-backed garden walls. And the lynx-eyed hunters, Jim and I, fur-capped and moccasin trappers from Hudson's Bay off Mumbles Road, would hurl our deadly snowballs at the green of their eyes. The wise cats never appeared. We were so still, Eskimo-footed Arctic marksmen in the muffling silence of the eternal snows. Eternal ever since Wednesday, that we never heard Mrs. Prothero's first cry from her igloo at the bottom of her garden. Or if we heard it at all, it was to us like a far-off challenge of our enemy and prey, the neighbour's polar cat. But soon the voice grew louder. "Fire!" cried Mrs. Prothero, and she beat the dinner gong. And we run down the garden with the snowballs in our arms towards the house. And smoke indeed was pouring out of the dining room, and the gong was bombulating, and Mrs. Prothero was announcing ruin like a town crier in Pompeii. This was better than all the cats in Wales standing on the wall in a row. We bounded into the house, laden with snowballs, and stopped at the open door of the smoke-filled room. Something was burning all right. Perhaps it was Mr. Prothero, who always slept there after midday dinner with a newspaper over his face. But he was standing in the middle of the room saying, "A fine Christmas," and smacking at the smoke with a slipper. "Call the fire brigade," cried Mrs. Prothero as she beat the gong. "They won't be there," said Mr. Prothero. "It's Christmas." There was no fire to be seen, only clouds of smoke, and Mr. Prothero standing in the middle of them, waving his slipper as though he was conducting. "Do something," he said, and we threw all our snowballs into the smoke. I think we missed Mr. Prothero, and ran out of the house to the telephone box. "Let's call the police as well," Jim said, "and the ambulance. And Ernie Jenkins, he likes fires." But we only called the fire brigade. And soon the fire engine came, and 3 tall men in helmets brought a hose into the house, and Mr. Prothero got out just in time before they turned it on. Nobody could have had a noisier Christmas Eve. And when the fireman turned off the hose and was standing in the wet, smoky room, Jim's aunt, Miss Prothero, came downstairs and peered in at them. Jim and I waited, very quietly, to hear what she would say to them. She said the right thing always. She looked at the 3 tall firemen in their shining helmets, standing among the smoke and cinders and dissolving snowballs, and she said, "Would you like anything to read?"
Thank you, Ralph. We look forward to your return later in the program. Our club is honored each year to share the Christmas program with district governors and dignitaries from the world of Rotary. I do hope some of you have joined us today. As is tradition, the current governor of 50/50 brings us a Christmas message on behalf of the district. For this last year and this year, the District 50/50 governors are members of our club. Brad Whitaker last year brought the message. Today, our reigning governor, the indefatigable champion of Rotary, Carol Tickelman, is the message bearer. Carol, please.
Greetings, fellow Rotarians and friends. This has been a very different and often challenging year on so many fronts. As the Queen might say, an annus horribilis. But none of what has happened this year can take away that Christmas is a season of great joy, a time for remembering the past and hoping for the future. The best Christmas in my memory was in 1967. I was 10 and my brothers were 11, 8, and 6. We decided to take a family trip for Christmas. So after weeks of planning and plotting, the family piled into our station wagon and headed off for a 5-week trip through Mexico. That story is a program unto itself, but to give you a flavor of it, we left Vancouver and reached the Mexican border 48 hours later. Our big stop was in a little fishing village called Zihuatanejo, where we spent Christmas. Now, back in 1967, this little village had no power. The generator in the small 12-room Hotel Irma was only on from 6 till 11 each evening, and the ice was bussed in from Acapulco. The Christmas festivities included the posada in the Zocalo prior to midnight mass in the village church, and a piñata party, which my parents organized. They bought the piñata and filled it with lots of goodies and treats, and invited the staff from the hotel to bring their families and other children from the village. We also shared with the staff and the other hotel guests our traditional family Christmas cake, which we had made that November and brought with us. I remember a family Sunday dinner a couple of weeks after we returned from that trip, when I turned to Dad and I was very distraught, having just realized that we had not given Mom and Dad a Christmas present. My father looked around the table, surveying his family, and with a big smile on his face and tears in his eyes, he said that we had given him the best Christmas present ever. So that, my fellow Rotarians and friends, is what Christmas means to me, being with the people you love and sharing this special time with each other. And while we can't gather together this year, we can still be together in spirit. May the glorious message of peace and love fill you with joy during this wonderful season. On behalf of Rotary District 50/50, I thank you for your service, and I wish you and your families a very Merry Christmas and all the best for the new year.
Thank you, Carol, for your Christmas story and your inspiring words. Each year we enjoy the reflections on Christmas past as recalled by club members. Their stories provide special insights into their unique and interesting experiences while evoking in us a shared experience of our own Christmas memories among family and friends. Today we welcome Phil Taylor to reflect on his Christmas past. Phil.
In the 1980s, we lived in Golden, BC, and spent almost every Boxing Day at the Chateau Lake Louise, where we visited the Christmas store. Jill, my wife, received a bonus from the clinic she worked in, and so began our Santa collection. One of our first acquisitions was a set of heritage Santas. This is the story of 8 of them. Inspired by the legend of St. Nicholas, people of all nations created images of this generous old soul to uniquely reflect their heritage and way of life. As centuries passed, these Santas lived on in folk tales, which were passed from generation to generation. The first one I'm going to show you is Scandia Claus, the Scandinavian Santa. From the top of his woolen hat, to the bright red clogs on his feet, Scandia Claus is the jolliest Santa you will ever see. His cheeks glow pink as he skis the bright snowy fields, bearing gifts and good wishes for the young and old. Snug in their beds, the children dream of jingle bells and blue eyes twinkling. Smiling, Santa Claus piles presents under the tree, his belly warm with the rice pudding they have left for him. Then he straps on his skis and shooshes through the night. Bob Hagel, who has a Swedish and Finnish background, the Strahls have a Swedish background. Hayala Juala, Finnish. God Jul, Swedish. Merry Christmas. Santa Nicola, the Italian Santa. Santa Nicola loves making toys for the children. All year long, you'll find him at his workbench. His tools and paints close at hand, his eyes twinkling behind his spectacles. Then on Christmas Eve, he stuffs his leather backpack full and goes from house to house. He leaves gifts for even the littlest bambini. Wooden clogs in rainbow hues, marzipan and nougat candies. For children who've been very good, but Pinocchio, a special gift, a Pinocchio carved by Santa Nicola himself. Last year's exchange student, Sylvia Laurenti, an outboard student, Justin Kennedy, who went to Italy. Buon Natale, Merry Christmas. Ti auguri, Buon Natale, un felicio anno nuovo. I wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Santa Nicola, the Slavic Santa. When the star appears in the sky, in Christmas Eve, Santa Nicola begins his journey through the Slavic lands, past thatch-roofed cottages and sleepy villages, over stony mountains and through valleys. Tonight he will visit the homes of all the children in the land. Silently he delivers sweet gifts of honey, spice cakes, and cookied sandbag and red apples. As he leaves, the sound of snowbells and horses' hooves follow him into the night. The Russians, the Ukrainians, the Polish. We had an exchange student, Golden, from the town of Turin in Poland. She's now a surgeon and doing very well. And we had a longtime Chilliwack Rotarian, Julian Gilbecki. Vasily Vance, Vozelix Waitak. Merry Christmas. The next one is Hare Christmas, the Black Forest Santa. The deer follow him through the forest, and the birds circle as he walks beneath the trees. Animals of all kinds love Hare Christmas, and so, of course, do children. Tonight, the children are asleep in carved wooden beds. They dream of jingle bells and footsteps in the snow. They dream of the sight of Hare Christmas reaching into pockets for gifts to leave under the tree. In the morning, the gifts are real. This is for Klaus Berger, Michael Berger, and Corbin Bailey, due to their connections with Bavaria. Frohlich Weinmachen. Merry Christmas. Pierre Noël, the French Santa. The countryside appears asleep, but a joyful, rosy-cheeked traveler has begun his magical journey. From cozy hamlets to quaint villages across snow-dusted fields, to rolling valleys and hills, Pierre Noël visits all the children in France tonight. Silently entering each house, Pierre Noël fills the children's wooden shoes with handmade toys and sweet candies, then decorates the family Christmas tree with surprises. Ringing carillon bells, Pierre Noël continues his journey to the next town. Daniel Beausoleil, Joyeux Noël, Merry Christmas. Joël Fête, Merry Holiday. Papa Frost, the Santa of the Great North. Across the frozen steppes and frosty tundras, through icy forests and lacy winter gardens, Papa Frost pulls his sleigh. Silently it skims across the snow. Tonight he will stop at every house in town and village in the land. The children are expecting him. He looks like a czar in a fairy tale, but the children know Papa Frost is real. They know his eyes will twinkle when he sees them, and they know his sleigh is full of toys and treats. Then we have Father Christmas, the English Santa. Christmas in England is still old-fashioned, and so is Father Christmas. Wearing his regal fur-trimmed robe, crowned with a garland of greens, he is the keeper of Christmas traditions and bygone Victoria times. But the children know he is so much more. They dream of his merry eyes and rosy cheeks, jolly laugh and jingle bells on his cuffs, and they dream of the pockets in his robe, brimming with presents and sweet. Tonight, Father Christmas will make their dreams come true. Phil Taylor, Ralph Jones, and Fred Hales. And my last one for today is Mac Nicholas, the Highland Santa. When you hear the glad sound of bagpipes, you will know he is on his way. Past misty moors and clear blue lochs, Mac Nicholas brings gifts for young and old. Tucked in their beds, in their snug stone cottages, the children wait and dream. His eyes twinkle merrily as he opens his pack. Whistling, he sets dolls and drums and Dundee jams under each Christmas tree. Wee Scotty, his faithful companion, keeps watch at the door. Tonight they will visit every home in the land. This is for Sherry McDonnell, Stuart Syme, Dr. Ron McLeod, Norari Treadwell, Gaelic for Merry Christmas. And in Scotland, New Year's Eve is as big as Christmas. Haud Hochmane. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Phil. We know Joanne Hankey is an immensely talented, hard-working professional woman. Not only is she a key member of the Rotations, she composes music, plays piano and harp, one of the most difficult musical instruments to master. She operates a very successful optometry practice and manages on occasion to host Rotary exchange students. On a previous program, she shared her Christmas reflection. Today, she favors us with a Christmas poem, her poem. Joanne.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. A few months ago, John Blesson called a meeting of the musical committee and friends to talk about this virtual holiday itinerary. And he had most things already figured out, but he did wonder whether or not we should have something COVID related. And the consensus was, well, you know, we're all kind of tired of COVID and there's enough song parodies and enough rewritten poetry about COVID, and we probably didn't want to have that included. But you know what? It was just too tempting. So here is my version of the Rotary Christmas poem 2020 in the style of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. 'Tis the season of Christmas, but all through the world a shadow has darkened our holiday mood. The perils of COVID are shockingly clear, threatening traditions we all hold so dear. No galas with sparkles, no hay rides on sleighs, no huge family dinners, no Santa parades, no school Christmas pageants, no concerts with bells, no seasonal music being sung in the malls. On Friday the 13th, in March of this year, the world went to lockdown. The whole globe felt fear. Our Rotary Club bravely had one more meeting when John Allen gave his St. Patrick's Day greeting, but that was the last week we met face to face, because the dreaded pandemic had picked up its pace. We've socially distanced and kept in our bubble and mostly stayed home to keep well out of trouble. Thank goodness for techies and apps such as Zoom. We can still meet each Friday in this virtual room. No buffet, no salad, no coffee to start. No cake with thick icing before we depart. But still, there's the fight to end poliomyelitis and speakers whose stories are sure to inspire us, and laughter and friendship and spirited banter and book sales to organize and projects to plan for. So Christmas approaches, and COVID's still here. But don't let it banish our joy or our cheer. there are still lovely ways to brighten dulled nights. Sit by the fireplace, plug in the lights, decorate treetops, make gingerbread men, call all your family, say you're thinking about them. So put on your masks and stay 6 feet apart, but show the whole world that you haven't lost heart. Don your best clothing, bring out the champagne, eat roast Christmas dinner from best porcelain, sing Frosty the Snowman, and then Silent Night. Play board games and card games and have pillow fights. Wear your new PJs the whole Christmas day and celebrate New Year's when it's only midday. 'Cause when COVID's over, we'll party aplenty. And someday, think fondly about Christmas 2020. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you, Joanne, for your heartwarming poem. And it's so impressive. You didn't use a teleprompter. You had it all in your heart. Thank you so much. For our next presentation, we dove into the Rotary Club of Chilliwack archives to find this special Christmas present from our Christmas past, a retro replay video recording of our very own Charlie Young, accompanied by Joanne Hankey, with his unforgettable performance of Ave Maria. Wow. That stirred up a lot of emotion seeing Charlie and hearing his music again. A performance for the ages. We thank and remember Charlie and his wife Mary for the amazing gifts of music they brought to our club on so many occasions for so many years. May they continue to rest in peace. Back to entertain us is Ralph Jones with Come Share the Bird. Take it away, Ralph.
Christmas dinner, festive mood, roasted turkey, longed for food. And ours was huge, a very prize of what they label family size. A steaming mound, a tasty light, of dressing and of dark and light. Of breast and drumstick, what a plate. The clock ticked on and still we ate. We nibbled till good nights were said, and stomachs filled we crawled to bed. We slept like fattened wintering bears. 'Twas noon before we came downstairs. So there you are, exclaimed our host. Come have some turkey, creamed on toast. We ate because, what else to do? And then they served us turkey stew. Next day my eyes began to glaze, 'cause there at lunch, what met my gaze? But sandwiches, huzzah, huzzah! All filled with turkey, pale and blah. I bit my lip, tried not to cry, at sight of dinner, turkey pie. Next day we played at nouveau riche, and mangling French tried dindon quiche. That night into my dreams there came a turkey calling out my name. Then out from every nook and cranny came gobblers gobbling, oh so many. I sat straight up, I fled outside, and found a trembling cousin Clyde, who said he'd had an awful fright, been chased by turkeys half the night. Lunch came, I looked and tried to run. Host pulled me back to join the fun. Enjoy, he said. Cook's fixed us all a special treat. She's fried up something really yummy. Her turkey hash will thrill your tummy. I tried to answer with a joke, but all I managed was a croak. All week, that's how the dishes came. The names were new, the meat the same. Ours was one woeful plight when cook announced, no fowl tonight. What's that? We said. Do you really mean? The bones, she smiled, are all picked clean. Free at last, we let out a whoop. Then she served us turkey soup.
Thank you, Ralph, for all your contributions to our show today. Our impresario has spared no expense to bring back for your pleasure and enjoyment the smash hit group from previous programs, the internationally defamed dance company, Definitely Not the Bolshoi. Despite having to curtail their live performance schedule, they have reinvented themselves on video. Prior to premiering on Netflix, here they are for your exclusive viewing pleasure to present their choreographic masterpiece, Dancing with the Elves, the movie!
Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Featured in this film were the elegant and sometimes not so refined footwork of Rick Moss and Brad Whitaker and Ralph Jones. Giving them all a helping hand or two were Deborah Sutar, Kim Isaac, and Sally Jones. Sets were by Steve Cousins, props by Joanne Hankey, and the sumptuous outfits were the product of many hours of detailed work by costumer to the Rotary stars, Sally Jones. Our program now concludes in traditional style with White Christmas, sung by our financial crooner, Steve Steinbach. Enjoy Steve singing the first verse unaccompanied, then please, everyone sing along with him at home. Merry Christmas, and remember, to all those who received a book from me as a Christmas present, they're due back at the library tomorrow. Steve, please.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white.
Thank you for a wonderful program full of opportunities to laugh, to remember, and to celebrate the Christmas spirit. Thank you especially to our team, led by John Blesson, and a special thank you to Michael Berger and Tim McAlpine of Cowork Chilliwack for their generosity in making this happen. Merry Christmas to all.